Reverend Lisa Clayton, Reverend Lisa Clayton, who came in from Connecticut to help us with our vocal choir directors on the arts workshop. It was great for those of you who missed it. And so now we are ready to go to the mountaintop again with our composer forum. Which one is this? This is number 2, right? Composer forum number 2. And we're going to turn this over to into the most capable hands of Dr. Karen Thomas, who we introduced yesterday at the forum, and she's going to take it in her own way. Karen, you are in charge.
Thank you, Reverend Rivers, and good afternoon to everyone. And we're glad that those of you have decided to take time to be with us for our second Composers Forum. And today we're going to start off with one of our presenters before we get to our main presenter, which would be Pastor James Ward. It will be Beatrice Green, and she is a native New Yorker who composes, arranges, performs instrumental music. Audience members describe her music as joy bells and etching on glass. Her performance of her piano composition, Spirit Warriors, evoked the following. You touched my soul, a Latino man told her. A woman from India stated, it reminded me of ragas. This piece, commissioned by United Nations Reporting Network, honors women from countries all over the world. Beatrice chooses pentatonic, whole tone, and modes, as well as traditional scale tonalities in compositions and arrangements. She moves through Euro-classically trained fingers and trumpet sounds using ragtime, Caribbean feel, and Afro-Cuban percussive elements in compositions and arrangements of spirituals. This composer commands the full range of the piano. A Boston Brahmin said, I felt like dancing, hearing the music of Beatrice's compositions along with the rhythm of her performance with a folkloric percussionist. Beatrice has performed Transformation Tapestry, Dry Bones, a piano composition solo, and also as a duo with choreographed dancing. And Mrs. Green will present that for us today. After she plays For All My African American Princes, Black men and women stand proud, and white people in the audience offer loud applause. This composition pays homage to everyday Black man not in the news, yet building community. It is written for piano and percussion. She plays piano and trumpet and is a published poet. Beatrice's current work projects include a piece entitled Woman, her poetry manuscript, and a one-woman show she performs on the life of Frances Harper, Black woman abolitionist. Beatrice is a Berklee College of Music, the College of Wooster, and Howard University graduate. She has completed coursework at the New England Conservatory, Andover Newton Theological School, and 2 Afro-Cuban percussion courses. She resides in Boston, Massachusetts, where she participates in the Time Project, an artist collective enjoying mountain hiking, cooking, watercoloring, and astrophysics lectures whenever she can. I'm presenting to everyone Beatrice Green.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. And it's an honor to be here presenting my work. It's helping me move all the little pieces of my life forward. So the composition Transformation Tapestry started with a theme that I heard. I was sitting at the piano and I heard this theme, and it was something I really didn't like when I heard it. So I was wondering where that came from. I was at the same time, I was in a class with George Russell, the late George Russell, who taught the Lydian chromatic concept class at the New England Conservatory. And so it had a hollow sound, so I thought it would go well with a whole tone scale. So after I worked with that for a little while, and as you know, music reflects our lives, and our lives are reflected in the music. And so it made me feel, after the second theme came, it made me remember the emptiness, the losses that I had experienced of my mother, my father's deaths, a change of career that was not supported by anyone pretty much. And because people thought I was crazy for walking away from money and success, that whole routine. So anyway, I then it occurred to me, it felt like my bones were dry, as Ezekiel, I believe it's the 37th chapter, talks about dry bones. And yet those dry bones did live in the end. So that's a little bit about the composition. It was a difficult one because I didn't feel comfortable with the theme, but I realized that while it was about death, it was also about life at the same time. So thank you, Dr. Thomas. They can start the video if they like, and they, or am I supposed to do that?
No. I believe Mika will start the video.
Okay, thank you.
Let's give Beatrice Green a
you.
hand. Okay,
Thank
shall I start out with commentary, or are there others who want to comment? I will start out by saying, Beatrice Green, I do understand the piece. I think it's more on the side of, you said whole tone, right?
Yes.
But isn't it in a sense too? And there's a place for that kind of music, of course, as you know very well, particularly in the film industry.
Mhm.
I hear that with various movie scenes that might call for that type of emotive essence for the screen, for the particular movie scene.
Mhm.
That's the impression I get.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting when it was set to dance, it
Mhm.
kind of brought it to new life and, a film, so I can see that input that you're giving. So thank you, Dr. Thomas.
You're welcome. In other words, your piece can be commercialized.
I hear I hear what you're saying. I need to expand my thought process in terms of music and where it can go forward, how it
Yes,
can
I
go.
would share some ideas, but I'm going to leave that to you.
Okay.
I already have it in my mind, but I'm going to leave it to you.
Okay, we'll brainstorm about that off screen. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But thank you for your
Okay. I see
encouragement.
we have our good friend Dottie Anita Taylor.
Hello, nice to
Hello.
see you. Glad I
Yes.
could be here. And,
Glad you could be here.
I enjoyed it, Beatrice. I enjoyed it very much. And I love the driving force beneath it all with the in the on the bottom on the left hand, which and like the spaces that come in the breathers. You need those spaces sometimes, the total silences and so on, and the difference in the textures that you use in the different sections. I think it works very well. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed hearing it in its entirety. Yes.
Thank you. Dottie is responsible for me connecting with TAMS. And she actually, it was so long ago and she's performed so much music, she actually performed it many, many years ago. And so thank you, Dottie, for your encouragement.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, I tried to capture the wind of God at one place, and the video came in after the beginning because I was trying to give an impression of the expanse of the field and looking out and seeing all these bones. So anyway, that's about music. That's about life.
Do we have any other comments on Beatrice Green's composition? Dr. McPherson?
Good morning. Good
morning.
morning. guys.
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry. Good afternoon. Yes, it is afternoon.
Are you
apologize.
on Texas time?
Yes, I am. So first of all, congratulations again. Thank you for sharing. I still believe the modality is the closest soundscape we have to the human spirit. So thank you so much. I studied with George Russell up at New England Conservatory, and of course he focused a lot of his energy on the Lydian mode, but based on chromaticism. And so I am quite curious. I do a lot of writing for dance, and I want to make certain I would not miss your segment today. And I would love to understand a little bit more of your approach sometimes to, I think, being commissioned to do some of the things that you do, and if there, with this particular piece, was it done with dance in mind, or was it adopted very much like a lot of choreographers will hear our pieces and then they will find ways to adopt movement to them. What is your thought process on that?
When I wrote the piece, I wrote for solo piano And it happened that there was a group that I formed of women artists and of multidisciplinary artists. And I was telling her about the piece, and she said she would always wanted to dance to that particular scripture, Ezekiel and the Valley of Dry Bones. So it just came together. So it was not intentionally set for dance. Other music that I've written, people feel the spirit of dance. So it's just an influence. I love to dance. And I, at the High School of Performing Arts in New York, you know, we're all influenced by each other. So I would say I started with the piano, which is where I'm most familiar, and didn't intentionally set it to dance.
Now, when were you there? I've gone down to speak to a lot of young people. I ran the film scoring program for a lot of years at Berkeley and Boston. So I would come down and speak to a lot of young people from time to time.
So when was I at Berkeley?
No, when were you at the High School of Performing Arts?
Oh, that would mean I have to tell my age.
You don't have to tell your age. I'm curious.
It wouldn't have corresponded. It was back in the 60s. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So I was invited. I actually ended up recruiting several young people from down there to come to Berkeley and Boston. And I found it such a very humbling privilege to be able to engage in such a wonderful artistic space. It was just amazing, and the energy. And I can understand in a very gracious and humbling manner where you'll have a place such as the, School of Performing Arts there, and such a high level of energy that you can, especially with this particular piece, that you can emote almost in a minimalistic manner and still give that same kind of energy. It compels that same energy. You know, when you think about just the central motif, scriptural motif, you know, about bringing life, and again, based on whole tone and modality, it's amazing to me. I'm drawn by it tremendously, which takes us right back to our African roots, our Afrocentric roots. You know, the xylophone, and many of the images that we emote from talking drums and things like that. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any further comments? Reverend Clements? Okay. Reverend Rivers?
Reverend Clements is trying to speak, but he's muted.
Unmute yourself, Reverend Clements.
We can't.
Okay. I do apologize. I'm living life this week in the ledger lines. Okay, so this is please accept my late entries. From that perspective, I'm here at this particular point to listen and to learn, and to take some things in. That's my comment now.
Thank you.
Dr. Thomas, you are muted.
Thank you, Dottie. Okay, I was going to say, Beatrice, did you have anything else to say, closing remarks? Because we'll move right into Pastor Ward's segment.
I just wanted to say that I do like to explore different modes and outside of the tradition, the Lydian mode, it just adds another dimension. I feel I like the universality to reach out beyond where I am located as an African-American woman. The performance where I was getting feedback from people all over the world, that just, and the woman, this really conservative Boston woman who came up and said, I felt like dancing. I was like, oh my. I didn't say oh my, but it just gives me a sense if I'm doing the right thing with the music in terms of connecting people, as well as young people come up and I try to connect them with lessons, because I realized them seeing me as a woman playing, as a Black woman, that that opens up pathways in their little minds in terms of what they want to do. So I try to follow up with that. So that's another exciting dimension of the music.
Okay. So we'll look forward to more from you then.
Yeah, I have more, but we have to get everything lined
And
up.
see how this develops.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you so much. Let's give her another hand.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. Now, Pastor Ward, you can proceed in the way you see fit.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Really, the video that we're going to show says a lot, but I was trying not to say a whole lot, but let's go back to what we just heard. That 5/4 time, you can do things subconsciously. That sounds like Stravinsky's part of his Rite of Spring. And it's amazing how, so I'm you, Sister Green, it's amazing how we merge and we don't realize it. African-American music can sound like some Russian person did. Even now, some of the best singing comes from Korea, because their language has perfect vowels where you wouldn't think it, but the Italian people who have perfect vowels love the Koreans because in their language, the vowels are just perfect, whereas we have kind of let the vowels drift into diphthongs and all that. But if you would play the video, my music, I'm a pastor, went to Morehouse, sung in the Glee Club. I minored in music, and Dr. Whalen wanted me to major in music, and I thought I wasn't good enough. So my music is utilitarian. I need a piece of music for this occasion. I may work on it for months, but I need a piece of music for a play. I need a piece of music for Christmas. I need a piece of music for church anniversary. And I would just write the music, and then I stumbled really on being a composer. In a sense, I went to a composers forum, which was just to learn. And it was a time where everybody was presenting their music. And they asked me, what are you going to present? And I said, nothing. I just came to learn. And they said, you need to present something. You need to present something. So I went back to the church and got some copies of a song I was working on. I don't think we used this one. It's and it was written in the style of a spiritual. And they loved it. And one of the publishers said, I want that. Don't give it to anybody else. It was King Jesus is Alive. It's like, I didn't think and from there, it just mushroom. So if you will play the video, it says most of what we're doing, but I'm basically a preacher and I just write music but it helps out though, because I can understand what musicians go through. And if you need another keyboard, I can get it for you. But on the downside is I know when something's not going right either. So if you play the video, that kind of explains everything. And I do talk fast. I apologize for that. So if you would play the video, we'd be good.
So now our main presenter is Pastor James C. Ward, who has led the Antioch Lithonia Baptist Church since 1995 and is rapidly emerging as composer of note in the music publishing world. He has dabbled in music all of his life and has written more than 200 compositions, most for special occasions for the churches for which he has pastored. Only recently has he considered publication, after receiving numerous complimentary inquiries about his compositions following well-received performances. His stylistic diversity is apparent as he composes in almost every genre, from Baroque, neoclassical, to original spiritual styled compositions. From learning shape note singing in the rural South to performing in the Morehouse Glee Club, to studying theory and classical organs under the legendary Dr. Wendell P. Whalum, to studying advanced theory under the tutelage of the iconic Dr. Joyce Finch Johnson, who is with us in our group today. Ward believes the hand of God was preparing him for this season of his life. Pastor Ward has been inducted into several elite national and international choral societies and has collaborated with world-renowned composers, including Victor Johnson, Mark Hayes, and Heather Sorensen. His compositions have been published by major publishing houses such as Lorenz, Hal Leonard, Daybreak, and Shawnee. His compositions have won several prestigious awards for artistic excellence. Moreover, 4 of his compositions have won the J.W. Pepper Editor's Choice Award, which is the sheet music industry's equivalent to an Oscar or an Emmy. One of his latest endeavors was a commission from Texas A&M and Prairie View universities to provide a new arrangement of Lift Every Voice and Sing with the addition of a new verse. His lyrics have been translated into Portuguese and Korean, and his works have been performed in more than 20 foreign countries. Pastor Ward has been married to the former Idell Clark of Laurel, Mississippi since 1975. They are blessed with 3 grown children and 6 grandchildren. And I'm just going to read a list of his published works. I'll just say the titles for time's sake. King Jesus is Alive, Preach On, O Preacher, Nothing But Glory, The Heritage Hymn, Lift Every Voice and Sing, and A Bundle of Straw. Okay, Pastor Ward, teach us, lead us, and help us to have a deeper understanding of your musical compositions.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm gonna try not to be a preacher, all right, and be a clinician. It's great to be here, and I just want to thank everyone for being here. God has really blessed me, I do believe. Some of the connections I have made, it had to be God in the plan. It couldn't have happened without God in the plan. Everything from, I grew up in rural Alabama. When I say rural, I mean rural. I remember when they paved the roads and we had no telephones. But I remember all that. But my parents made us read. I love to read anyhow. So I read the entire World Book Encyclopedia, read the entire Britannica. This sounds crazy, but I went to Morehouse early admittance, and I had seen flutes and clarinets. But don't laugh. I didn't see an oboe until I came to Atlanta. I didn't see a bassoon until I came to Atlanta. I read about them. I didn't see a pipe organ until I came to Atlanta. So my grandkids can't even understand it now. But one thing I will say about Black colleges, Black communities, I say this, they gave us the primary colors. People that start painting the Picassos start out with the primary color, red, yellow, blue. And from that, they can get every other color they want. That Baptist church, that segregated school, Morehouse, gave us the primary colors. If you can read music, you can read jazz, you can read classical, you can just read. If you can read a law book. So they gave us the primary colors of life. And sometimes when I go places and they have music trivia and I answer the question when nobody else can, and then they say, what school did you graduate from? It's like Morehouse College, and I took a lot of courses at Spelman. So I kind of stick my chest out a little bit and say, who taught you that? Actually, when I went to Morehouse, they gave me all these tests. I did pretty good on them. I was an early admitted student. And they asked me, what preparatory school did you attend? And I'm like, what is a preparatory school? So I don't know. I just went to this segregated school and they gave us the primary colors. And once you give me the primary colors, I can get my fuchsia, I can get my magenta, I can get my purple. But if you give me purple, I can't go back to red, yellow, and blue. So I just always have to throw that in. And at Morehouse, I was there the first time they did Bete Lehe Mu. So with Olakuna. So yeah, Bete Lehe Mu. Actually, it was funny because Dr. Whalen wanted me to do the bongos, and I was not coordinated enough to do the bongos, but I did sing the song. So it's great. My music, When I was at Morehouse, I didn't know what to major in. I like philosophy, I like math and science, and I like music. So I didn't know what to major in. Dr. Whalen wanted me to major in music, but I thought I wasn't good enough because all these people could play music and sing and all of that. I could carry a tune, but I wasn't really that good. So I got a minor in music. Most of my music was for special occasions. Even when I was a kid and you had Youth Day, I need a song for Youth Day. And we couldn't order the music, we couldn't buy the music. So I just wrote a song for Youth Day. A lot of times I use a lot of I statements, which kind of awkward. I would take existing hymn tunes and just change the words on those hymn tunes. But I will say this, as you work, make sure you collaborate. You don't have to be a strong in everything. If you don't know Sibelius, get somebody that knows Sibelius. If you're good with lyrics, get somebody that know how to do melody. You can collaborate. And actually, if you collaborate with a famous person, it'll help the sales. You'll get more royalties. And I've been blessed to work with Victor Johnson, Mark Hayes, and either Heather Sorensen. Now, I am not an arranger. I can do it because when I start arranging, there are so many options. I could have SATB, I could let a solo start. I could, and even with the solo, it could be an alto, it could be a lyric soprano. I could let the tenor start. So I get bogged down on how to start this thing, when to modulate. The ending can be a high Beethoven ending, boom, 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 boom. It could be a soft ending. So I just get kind of don't know which way to go with arrangement. So I let other people do my arrangement. It's kind of like an interior decorator. I like blue and I like Mediterranean. Now go to work. That's usually what I do. I'm pretty good, I think, with melody and lyrics. Now I can do some lyrics, I think, but I do melody and lyrics, and I would give you my chord progressions, and then I say you worry about voice leading and all of that. If you do get published, listen to the publisher unless you are well known. Don't argue with them. If they say you modulate 4 times, the first song I got published was King Jesus is Alive. It's a cappella. I modulated about 4 times. And they said the average choir in America that sings this song will not modulate a cappella 4 times. Modulate twice. Another song that we're going to hear, I had in A flat. And they said bump it down to G, because I have some sopranos in my choir that can go to the stratosphere. All right. So when you write for them, it's like, okay, the average church choir, you do not go above F, that 5th line, except at the very end. So please listen to your publisher if you want to get published. And after you get a few under your belt, you can kind of argue with the point like, don't change this, don't change this. But usually they know the marketplace. So you listen to them. If they say you in D flat, the average person will not play. The average pianist who is not a Dr. George Johnson does not want to play in D flat. So bump it down to C and everything's gonna be fine. So listen to them because they know, and the average choir in America is like 12 people, and the average musician is not a George Johnson. So you gotta listen to them. They will get the copyright. You're gonna give your baby up for adoption because they don't want you to own the copyright, and then they're working on it too. I'm not gonna fix your house and then you still live in that house. But they will really, really help you. Listen to them. As you go, you have to be bicultural. You got to be Black. I know I'm Black, right? I know I'm Black. But also, they're going to talk about fugues and canons and deceptive cadences and all of that. And you got to talk their language. And sometimes you got to go with them first and say, I have done something that sounds classical. Now I have this song that sounds Black. Publish my song that sounds Black. So sometimes you got to kind of play ball with them. The first song I'm going to do, and I'll tell you when to put it up, is "Oh Sing to the Lord." This was the second piece I got published. I wrote it for my choir. I started a choir at Antioch because I wanted something just a little different to sing classical music, if you can call it that, and sing something a little, I use it as a positive way, a little highbrow, okay? So we sung on 5th Sundays 4 times a year. So I wrote this piece. It had been around for a while. I threw a canon in there and a fugue. It's based on Psalm 96. In the middle section, I deviated from the song, and the publisher said, stay with the song. If you want it to sell, stay with the song. So we had to write the middle section. The other thing you need to find out about this, if you let another person write 5 measures or more, they become a co-composer, which may be okay. But if you bring a song to your choir and some alto said, why don't you add this and add this, they become a co-composer. And when you fill out all the forms, they're going to ask you who wrote this, who wrote this, who wrote that. This song is from Psalm 96. It's been translated into Portuguese and Korean. The Brazilians love my music. God bless them. We had to think about texture. Do you want this to be stringy? I call it stringy. Or do you want to be brassy? So we decided, let's make it a strings. I did the orchestrations. I had the Heather. I did the orchestrations. Where you had to think about now. Okay, this is a viola. It has a different staff. So I've learned a lot just from orchestrating and learning. And I'll go back again. People like Dr. Johnson gave us the primary colors, and we decided to make it stringy. Now here's what they did. Hal Leonard published this. There's a fugue at the end. All right. They did research to make sure to see if it was original. Let's check out Bach, check out Handel. All that is, well, they had no copyrights back then anyway, but at least we want to give credit. If it was a Bach fugue, we want to give credit to Bach. They did research, but they have a research group, and they said this is an original fugue. And then I laughed and said, I changed the words, but I wrote this fugue in Dr. George Johnson's class where we were doing Baroque music. All I did was just change the words. It was an Alleluia. And I jokingly said, why don't you change the words? And they love this. So we're going to hear now, oh, sing unto the Lord, and then we can stop and then ask some questions. But this was something else with a little arrogance in there. Okay, I'm Black, and you got folk from Baylor and Belmont and Juilliard. Juilliard is good. I'm gonna show these folk that I can write a fugue, I can do this. It was a little arrogant, all right? And they loved it, they loved it, they loved it, and they just went crazy with it. And also, the music is recorded in Orlando. People don't know this, but Hal Leonard works with Disney Studios, and they fly in all the great musicians for 2 or 3 days, and they record all the music soundtracks. They record all of the music for any of the music Hal Leonard is gonna publish. And I was sitting there watching them, and it's like, yes. My mother and father had already passed on. I said, do you realize what's happening? Winnie Whalen, you're in heaven now, Dr. George Johnson. They are recording my music with the same stuff. They're recording Lion King and everything else. And this is a little country boy from Abbeville, Alabama, who was nearsighted and a premature baby. And I jokingly said, and one of Dr. George Johnson's worst students, and now they're recording my music at Disney Studios. So it was great. And I wrote the fugue in her class, and they're like, yes, and we're gonna go. We want a piano because we were going to the church. We could walk to the church house, and we practiced music at the church. And we want a piano at the house, and my daddy wanted a lawnmower. And he said, well, if y'all want a piano, I'll buy a piano. I really need a lawnmower, but y'all better learn to play that thing. So we learned to play that thing. So now we're gonna listen to "Oh Sing Unto the Lord." Amelia, if you can play that.
Sing unto the Lord a new song. Sing unto the Lord, all the earth. Sing unto the Lord. Sing unto the Lord. Sing unto the Lord. A new song. A new song. Oh, sing. Let us sing unto the Lord our God. Oh, sing unto the Lord a new song. Sing unto the Lord a new song. Sing unto the Lord. Sing unto the Lord. Sing unto the Lord. Sing unto the Lord, sing unto the Lord, sing unto the Lord, sing unto the Lord a new song, a new song. Oh, sing, let us sing unto the Lord our God. Praise the Lord with a new hallelujah. Praise Him with a new praise the Lord, new hallelujah. Praise Him with a new praise the Lord, new hallelujah. Praise Him with a new praise God, a new
Thank you.
Sing unto the Lord. Oh, sing unto our God. Sing to our God.
All right, that's "Oh Sing Unto the Lord." When we first wrote that for my choir, I had no basis. So with the fugue, I had to let the sopranos do the subject of the fugue twice because I didn't have any basis. And then when I got some basis, I had to rewrite it. And it's amazing to see all those musicians come fly in from all over the world and just do your stuff. You know, tears are come down your eyes and you think about mom and daddy, your teachers like Dr. Johnson, Winterby Williams. It's like, man, this is almost surreal. Any questions about that one? They do everything. They look at it, analyze it, and they'll find things like there's a parallel fifth. Can you change that? That kind of thing. But that fugue is original. They researched that. Yes.
I just want to say I enjoyed singing this song with the Winter Williams chorus. We've done it several times. And I
Right.
said, oh my God, when I heard this, I said, oh my God, this is awesome. And so I just want to thank you for your gift and your tenacity and your fortitude, and you're motivating me because I'm one who has 52 songs and nothing is recorded. So,
Very good.
so you need to help me. Push me, Dr. Ward. Push me.
Let's move to with another hand. Yes.
Yes, I was listening and I said, well, that sounds familiar. I've sung that before, so that's why I sang it, and it's beautiful. I'd love to sing it again.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, good. Now they do give you, at least Hal Leonard give you complimentary copies. So, and I gave this to the Winter P. Whalum and said, if y'all want to sing it, fine. If you don't want to sing it, that's fine too. So any of the music I'm presenting, and even some of the music I won't present because, you know, the time, if you want copies, I mean, several copies, 50 copies, I have music sitting there. They give you so many. And as the sales increase, they give you more. So if any of this music, if you want your choir to sing it in your community group, that'll hurt the royalties a little bit, but that's all right. I mean, if you want copies, 50, 20, 30, even 100, I mean, I got zillions of them. That's probably just sitting here gathering dust. So Hal Leonard is they tell you, you can only give them to your church or your friends. So because it'll hurt the sales, but since you all are my friends, if you have any, I'm not seeing everybody. Is there anybody else with a hand up so we can move to the next one? All right, let me talk about the heritage hymn. My music is utilitarian. Our church, Antioch Lithonia, celebrated 150 years, 1860 from 1869 to 2019. And I would say I was so glad we celebrated 150 years. And then the pandemic came. I was so glad them folk founded their church in 1869. If they had done it in a year later, we would have had a celebration. We did a whole lot of stuff. We had plays and we had gospel concerts, but this was the one that my choir did. And Helen and I worked on this. I changed the word. It started out with a hymn, really like Stand Up for Jesus, 7676 meter. But I changed the words in it, and we did it. It has done very well. It is sung very well a lot in England. They have All Saints Day right before Halloween, and they sing this. It's about the founders of the church, and we honor them. You can hear the words, and their memories are still in the hall and all this. And this is done well. And they even like the title because it's alliteration, HH, the heritage hymn. Now we had to debate the tone of it, the texture, and we said, let's make this brassy. Now, when we did this concert, Dr. Sutton played this song. We had a big concert and she played most of the music there because I love everybody, but sometimes you need a concert pianist, all right? And the guy that does on Sunday morning that can play the hymns can't handle this. And Heather Sorensen did the piano parts, and she is like in the top 5 in the world. So she writes difficult parts, but Sister Sutton could play it, and it's brassy. And again, it was recorded in Orlando. And again, when you go down there and see them record your music with all these people, the mics and everything, it is, and some of those microphones is $10,000 microphones. And again, it goes back to mom and daddy, my music teacher, Miss Jones, Wendell P. Whalum, Dr. George Johnson, your worst student, but look at what's happening now. So I want you to go with it. Listen, and I deliberately wanted this highbrow, and this is a positive way to put it. 150 years, now we're gonna have a stomp down, pat your foot gospel concert, but I want this to be highbrow because with 150 years, it ought to be something highbrow. So, and I use that term in a very positive way. So let's listen to the Heritage Hymn celebrating our church 150th anniversary. Amelia, you may play. And when we did this, we had a group there, trumpets, trombones, not a full orchestra, but we had timpani and all that. And that was just part of that. So basically, music is utilitarian, and then you can kind of make it fit the world, but you write it basically for yourself, and then it kind of fits the whole world. But that has done very well with churches, with church anniversaries, and want something kind of special. There were a lot of churches celebrating 100 years and 150 years, especially in England again. All Saints Day, it is so well over in England with All Saints Day. I get email from people saying they like this, and even though one of the lines say their memories linger in each hall, and some of the folk who've had old buildings, we have a relatively new building. The old building been around for 100 years, and my grandmama's spirit still lingers in the hall. So it was something that kind of was special for us. Now, the choir members had to work because everybody is not a Dr. Verne Dabney, all right? Some of them don't even read music. So it was kind of, but we pulled it off, and it was great. But, it took a while to get everybody on board. And actually, they didn't have a demo because they were rushing to get it done and all that. So any questions about that one? So music can change. You can have it for special occasions. You could have it like eating. Sometimes you want to eat caviar, and sometimes you want to eat a tuna fish sandwich. So everything, sometimes you want to dress up, and sometimes you want to put jeans on. So music is kind of the same way. Why am I writing this? What is it for? And if it gets published, fine. And then you can write just to get published. If you do that, you got to know what the market is there for. But most people just write until they get professional, in a sense, like the Mark Hayeses and the people like that. They just write me a song about grace. Also, if you are trying to get published, sometimes you can write some good stuff and you'll get bumped, because if, say, Joseph Martin writes a song about grace and you write a song about grace, even though yours may be better, they're going to say, everybody knows Joseph Martin, so we're going to publish him. So they only have so many slots. They do 5 of these and 2 of these and 3 of these. And I've been blessed, and I give God glory. Like, oh, sing to the Lord, we need a song about a fugue. Oh, your song got a fugue in it. We need a song about church history. Boom, we have yours. So sometimes it's God working with it, and you just do it. And how I got involved in all of this, in 2013, I went to a composer seminar at Pine Lake Music. Pine Lake Music doesn't even exist anymore, they're out of business. And I just went just to learn stuff, all right? So they were saying, are you gonna present anything? And I'm like, no, I just came to learn. You need to present something, you need to present something, you need to present something. So I went back to the church, Antioch, and it was handwritten. It was not even in finale. It was handwritten. It was King Jesus is Alive. And I said, okay, here goes. And at that time, Jean Ann Schaeferman, who was over the religious choral music for Lorenz, jumped off the stage and said, I want that, I want that. Don't give it to anybody else. I want it, I want it, I want it. And they thought it was cool that it was handwritten. Don't try this now. This guy has good penmanship, thanks to Dr. Joyce Johnson, all right? That quarter note doesn't look right, all right? Anyway, and they said it was great penmanship. They thought it was a great thing. And she said, and I said, oh yeah, they just saying that. They just being nice. And that thing I know, there was this contract to sign that we want to do. It's like, and it was like, now you can show it to a lawyer, you can do this, you can do this. Like, baby, there ain't gonna be no arguing. You're gonna publish me. Listen, I signed that thing and zipped it right back to them. So that's how this whole thing started. It was an act of God. I was just there just to learn. But there I met a lot of people who were just composing, and I've been to music workshops. They don't even do this anymore, where all the publishers will have a little workshop, and here's the new music we have out here. Now it's all on the internet. What does bother me is the new crowd won't meet the Heather Sorensen, because everything now is on the internet. They just said, a publisher now says, here are the 25 songs we published for the spring. Here it is. They used to come and show you the music and sit down and talk to you. Oh, you James Ward. Oh, you this. And this is how I get to know them. So what bothers me a little bit now is, because there is an internet, you will not talk to the people. You will not have lunch with them. You will not, oh, let me say what you got. Play that for me. So that is gone now, which bothers me a little bit. But I was in the era where they did do it. In fact, they're saying another 5-10 years, you would not have physical octavos. Everything's going to be downloaded. So I'm glad that I got physical octavos where I can show to my grandkids and all that kind of thing. All right. The next one is Nothing But Glory. This song was, you know how Avon Aiken people dance? For Christmas, I wanted something different. I wanted this for Christmas, and I wanted some people to be dancing like the Avon Aiken dancers while we play this music. So it's called Nothing But Glory. But I got this from a preacher in Mississippi. All right, in Mississippi. This preacher, when the choir would really sing good, he would say, nothing but glory, nothing but glory. When another preacher would preach and the church felt the spirit, he would say, nothing but glory, nothing but glory. And I said, well, let me use that word. Reverend Simpson's in heaven now. And I said, when Jesus was born, wasn't nothing but glory. And the angels sang. So I wrote this really to be a dancing song. It has a black flair to it, if you can call it that. So you got to be able to write Baroque and classical, and you got to be able to know who you are too. So, and I think the Winnipeg Wailing Choir sung this because people I know is like, here's a song, here's some copies. I got some complimentary copies. You don't have to buy it. It'll help your budget. If you want them, you can get them. If not, you ain't got to sing it. I'm not trying to push my music on you. So I've given this to 7 people around town. And all this music has really done well from a commercial standpoint. Now, it's not just commerce. It's not just making money, but it has done well. Hal Leonard, Joseph Martin was telling me that I have more than 500,000 pieces of music sold already. I mean, that's just awesome for me anyway. 500,000 pieces, 100,000 here, 30,000 here. And even some of those that didn't do that well did good in my eye, when you sell to 30,000 copies. So let's hear Nothing But Glory. It's a dance song for the Avon Aiken dancers. Well, Avon Aiken didn't dance, but for my church dancers.
Could have been there just to see that awesome sight. Wish I could have been there as the angels took their flight. Bright glory around the manger bed as he rested his holy head. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem, nothing but glory all around. What a wonder God had done when he gave us his only son. Shepherds came and saw the glory with joy they
Nothing But Glory. The Winnipeg Whalemen sung this. Anybody want those copies? It's kind of like again, it's to be danced to. It was great. I don't see any hands. We can move on if there's a hand. Okay. Again, any of this you want, let me know how many copies you want, and I can just zip them to you. All right. Most of this all of this is on the internet anyway with YouTube. The next song, Lift Your Voice and Sing, was really conflicted me because Texas A&M and Prairie View wanted to show with all of the killing of George Floyd and all this, want to show some togetherness. All right. So Texas A&M, Dr. Kip, and then Prairie View wanted to do a version of Lift Your Voice and Sing. And we talked to the kids and all that, and it was a good thing. And then while we were talking to the kids, and some of the black kids said, now, make sure it's black. Start off kind of in a gospel way. All right. So, okay, we can do that. And then one of the young people, the black kids said, okay, I'm looking at this. I'm an English major. And it says, lift your voice and sing. And we all happy, and then it says, storm the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod. All of a sudden we up here, and then they take us back down. It said, that's kind of rough. And we started talking about the black experience and all this. And then one of the kids said, well, why don't you write a verse in the middle of that? And then Dr. Kip said, yeah, write a new verse. I'm like, a new verse, an added verse to lift your voice and sing. Nothing is sacred like the Bible, but that's almost like adding another book to the Bible. Like these folk my age know lift their voice and sing. They're gonna be mad trying to say that. All right. So I said even a new arrangement that Roland Carter is the gold standard. All right, Roland Carter is the gold standard. So we played around with it. I said, let me pray about it. And Texas A&M gave me a financial offer I could not refuse. Be honest. It's like, if somebody else gonna do it, so I might well gonna do it. Why let Richard Smallwood do it or Kirk Franklin? Somebody else gonna do it. So I might as well go on and do it. And then, but it was like I said, we're not even gonna try to do Roland Carter. And when I present this to folk, I said, the gold standard is Roland Carter. But then there are certain choirs said, we did Roland Carter this year. Let's do something else a little different. And some folk can't do Roland Carter because it's kind of highbrow, right? So they do this. And some churches actually have added this new verse in there and they sing it just like a hymn. But it was conflicted, like, do I want to do this? Roland Carter has done it. And is somebody gonna say you have added to a sacrilegious thing? But it was a young person saying, you take us up here and then you go right down, stone the road we try. It's like, that's such a quick thing here. I'm an English major and that kind of thing. So let's listen to Lift Every Voice. And let me tell you about this. Heather and I have a first right of refusal with Hal Leonard, all right? So anything I do, I gotta let them look at it first. And then if they don't want it, I can give it to somebody else. It's like, I'm a new kid on the block. I am not going to argue about no legal stuff. If that's what you want, fine. All right. But we did this with Texas A&M and Prairie View. Actually, they recorded it. And then we told Hal Leonard about it. We got to tell Hal Leonard that we did this. And they almost got upset. Like, why did you all wait all this time to let us know? And they rushed this thing up to get it for Black History for that year. I think 2020. They rushed it up and did it quickly. And they said, we really could have orchestrated this if y'all had let us know. So like they were so happy to get lift their voice and sing. And I had trepidation, like, again, Roland Carter is the standard. I know that. So we did something else, but the kids love it. The kids at Prairie View love it. The kids at Texas A&M. And I had a chance to really educate those kids about Blackness and even Black rural South and what all this means. So let's listen to Lift Every Voice and sing. All right.
Lift every voice and sing till all the the heavens ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Oh, let it resound, oh, yes. The rolling sea, the rolling sea.
Lift every voice and sing, in spite of hatred, sing, echoing justice and love and unity. Let music swell the breeze, sway through all the trees. Each voice a call to make all people free. Let God's love flow from the lips of each sister and brother. Let wise words drip from the lips of each father and mother. Let us sing freedom song, melody loud and strong. This is a call to join this prayerful throng. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught. Sing a song full of dark past has sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far, brought us on the way, thou who hast by thy might into the light, keep us forever in the path. Lord, we praise, shall be safe beneath thy hand, beneath thy hand. May we forever stand true to our God, true to our We will be true to our God, true to our name.
And again, Roland Carter's version is a gold standard. Quite good. We didn't even try to go down that route. When you're writing music, if you know there's a standard out there, Dawson's Behold the Star, they sing every time at the Spelman Martin Glee Club. If you're going to do Behold the Star, stay away from Dawson. I mean, because they're going to say, we don't need two Dawsons. I mean, so you got to take it some other way. Because again, if you are unique, the topic or how you arrange it, it got to be unique. Because like I said, if you're going to do it just like Dawson did, or whoever did, or Beethoven did it, then you don't need it. Let's move right along. I didn't see any hands. I got two more. I hope I can get them in. The next one is A Bundle of Straw.
I had a question.
Was written for a play. All right.
Okay, Mika, can you please stop it? So Reverend Clements has a question.
And doing the play at our church, I was saying Joseph doesn't do anything. Let Joseph do
Mika?
something.
Reverend Clements?
Yes, Pastor, I had a question. Well, it was like when you talked about the sacrosanctum of lift every voice and sing. I got tickled. The other thing was, do you have pressure from the publishers about using or utilizing what they call inclusive language? In your text. And then also, you spoke about Dr. Carter's piece. And often people automatically, when they hear lift every voice, the first thing they want to do is stand up. As a response. Do you get that kind of response as well in the times that you performed it? Those are my two questions.
Okay, yeah. So the inclusive language, him, her, things like that. If some of the publishers don't care, you got to talk to them. It depends upon if you're writing something and you want to use some hymn language that's 2,000 years old, 200 years old, you can still go with thou and him. God is a him. Canada doesn't really likes inclusive language. So some of the God rest ye, married gentlemen, they've changed that to something, I don't know, God rest ye, Christians or whatever. It all depends upon the publisher. You need to talk to the publisher. But if you're doing an older hymn, Amazing Grace or something like that, they are okay with. If you write something new, they probably want it fresh, but don't mix. Don't say when you're talking to God, on one verse you got you, and the other voice you got thou. So keep your language consistent. If you're going to make God neutral and not be a hymn, then don't say. So I know Canada and schools now, well, schools are a whole different thing because they don't want it to be religious at all. So if you write, for example, my little song, Bundle of Straw, is sung because it's just talking about Joseph, which you haven't heard yet. It's about him just making the manger. But if you start talking about God and incarnation, that's going to be a problem. So you need to talk to your publisher. Now, some of the publishers have little asterisks and said these are the traditional words. God bless you, reverend gentlemen. And one of the brother, we have met to worship. You can say Christian, we have met to worship, and you can put a little asterisk there and say things like, if you want to use inclusive language, you can change this. So you need to talk to the publisher, but do not mix Elizabethan language with modern language. If it's going to be a little slangy, and I don't mean bad slang, but if you're going to use contemporary language, and then you won't say gonna, then keep that kind of style there. But now the words got to fit the music too. Don't have it classical sounding. Don't make it sound Baroque. And then you're going to say, I'm going to praise God. So really what they look at, and I'm preaching to the choir, if it's going to be a whatever song, keep the style and the language together. If it's going to be a folk song, if you're going to write a brand new spiritual, but it's going to sound like something somebody wrote 100 years ago, the slaves wrote, but it's new, still make it be like that language. Don't mix and match. Don't mix and match. What was the other one you asked me?
I'm from the generation when it was the Negro National Anthem and people.
Yeah, okay.
Up. So I'm like, do people stand up when they hear your performance as well? I know they do.
Use it when I tell people. Some people say sit down, some say stand up, even with Hallelujah chorus. Some people say sit down. So use it if you were singing it. If you want them to stand up, I tell people to stand up, because I've been in places where you sing just the plain like a hymn. Half of the folks standing up, half of them not standing up. And the old folks saying these children now just don't respect nothing. So use it if you're going to do the Hallelujah chorus, plain no handle. Stand everybody up if you want to stand up. Or George Shaw would say, Atlanta Central would tell people, do not stand. It's a myth. They did not stand when they first arranged it. Like, I wasn't there when they did it, so I don't know. So my thing is kind of direct the people. But even in a church service where you have like everybody coming in, everybody know your church. But if you're going to have people to stand up while you read the scripture, tell everybody to stand up. you don't need to stand up. So I usually tell people to direct the movement of the people. But I have known cases where people have, so when I'm there and they perform anything like this, I tell the people, the minister of music, stand them up, because this song really, I'm trying to think. I have not been in a live performance where it was performed. I've seen videos where everybody told me. In fact, Oberlin, what's the young lady that's over Oberlin now? She's a jazz singer, but she's over the gospel choir now. They just did that, and she told people to stand. So my thing is just tell people to stand, and that way. But I have never had it performed live, not even at my church. The pandemic came, and we haven't been doing anything. But I've got a bunch of emails where people said we liked it, and believe me, I was thinking to get some backlash from some of the older generation. I have not gotten any backlash, and if I can say this, the white community don't know it no way, so they just glad to sing it. All right, those that want to sing it and they want to prove that they not as racist or whatever, they just glad to sing it. So they don't have anything to compare it with. But again, to repeat, I stand people up, even when if I'm at a church that I don't know about. As I read this scripture, will you please stand? You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. But those are good questions, because I was like nervous, like I'm gonna get hate mail from the Black community. It's like you're gonna add another verse to this thing. It's like, man. But it has been well received, even from some people that I thought would have given me some backlash. They would say, "Oh, it's refreshing. It's part of our repertoire now." And we have you and Roland Carter, and then there's some other people. Moses Hogan did a version with a whole nother song. So I kind of feel good about it now, but it was like trepidation, but it's like, and I learned a lot from the kids. They were saying things like, we always the ones that knew, we always slow it down and get real soft, God of our weary years. And they are saying, if we had to struggle, shouldn't we be screaming to God? I'm trying to say that we ought to be screaming to God. So they saw from a whole different perspective than we saw. And these English majors were analyzing things like, is there continuity? Is that, I was like, okay, you're an English major, you sing in the choir. So they brought some things in that we would have never thought about. So at the end, they almost begging God, they screaming to God, because you're in trouble, you will be screaming to God, So I guess you can pick the one you want. My thing is, there's enough diversity that if you don't want a particular song, if Dr. McPherson arranged whatever, and you don't like it, don't down it, just don't buy it. I mean, go buy something else. And if you like Dr. McPherson's version of whatever and don't like Roland Carter's, don't diss Roland Carter. I mean, just sing his music. There's enough room that there's room for everybody. I've heard people get with the hip hop thing. I said, I have no problem with hip hop. I said, I want the lyrics to be decent. I don't want no vulgar lyrics. And I said, I wouldn't want to sing opera if the lyrics were vulgar. I'm trying to say that I wouldn't read Shakespeare if the lyrics were vulgar. So there is more styles than anything else. But that's a good question. But man, I lost a little sleep on this thing. Like, am I just selling out for money, or what am I doing here? And then it was like, well, if I don't do it, there's a lot of other folk can do it. They'll call Gregory McPherson, and he'll get the money.
That's what you call being radical. You're being a prophet.
It's gonna be right.
Well, let me say, Pastor Ward, I like the music you do, and I understand, we've discussed this before, your concept of utilitarian music, and I do appreciate that. But let me just quickly say, not to take away from your lecture, that there are two Black women who have done arrangements of Lift Every Voice and Sing. One's on the West Coast, and I'm here on the East Coast. So I just wanted to throw that in there, to let people know there are other arrangements of Lift Every Voice and Sing that are more in the classical vein.
And I'll send you.
Good. And the publisher may look at it, because here's what publishers do. If somebody did an arrangement of Amazing Grace, they may not do another one for a year or two, and then they'll come back and say, well, we need another one. So there are opportunities out there now. There's not as many because of the pandemic and people not buying as much music. But piano music is selling better now because you can have somebody playing the piano and not a choir. A cappella music is doing good now because you don't have to have all the instruments there. And even handbells, you got a handbell choir. So they're saying now, make the music that can go either way. This next little song, you could have 4 people singing it, 400 voice choir. And they were saying, make the music now they can go either way. So you can like, you can get the right suit and put the right tie on and you dressed up, or you can take the tie off and you just casual. So they're saying now make it very short because basically for 3 minutes. Well, if you got a major work, of course, it's gonna be long. Make it a cappella if you can, make it be able to go either way, and make it where a small group can sing it or a big group can sing it. And that way it would go. But now publishers, if you would look at it, I'm using a Spurgeon thing. And I said, when I preach about whatever, Easter, Jesus rose. So I tell people it's the same soup warmed over. I mean, I can't change this. And they're saying, and you dare not change the recipe. Christmas is going to be the wise men, Mary, Joseph, the angels. That's what you got to be. So they recycle stuff. It's the same soup warming over. But sometimes they want freshness. And one of the things that I am blessed and because my stuff is fresh. I mean, it's been sitting in boxes for years, but it's like, oh, my stuff is fresh. They go over and over and over and over. And somebody like you all sitting here, your music is probably fresh because they're like, wow, okay, that's fresh. And they're looking for uniqueness. They're looking for freshness. A lot of them, even the people that's been out there for a long time, what am I going to do next? I've got 3 arrangements of Oh Holy Night. I've done 3 or 4 for different publishers. So when a Dr. Karen comes in, like, oh, this is nice. And here's what they do. It's like shelf space in the store, but so much shelf space for cereal. So they'll publish 3 of these and 2 of these and 4 of these and 5 of these. And sometimes I'm going to publish only one of these. I want one highbrow arrangement of a hymn. I want one song about grace. And if you can be that unique person that may be different, that's what they want. That's what even the title can be different. I heard that. So that is a place for that. They are looking for uniqueness now and freshness. And even the people that compose like the Mark Hayes and the Joseph Martins, like, okay, I got all these songs. What am I going to do next? And they would love to collaborate with somebody and say, now, they will collaborate with you. And that's good because I would rather get a percentage of 15,000 than all of 100. See that? And so, and then 2, the publishing is get it to the public. That's what word publishing means. Get it to the public. And I don't care who you are, you can self-publish, but they will put it on their catalog, on their internet. They're going to get it a demo, and the guy in England does not know you exist. You can just tell to all your friends. So collaborate with them, and they may change a little bit of this and change a little bit of that. They know the market, and once you get started, don't even argue with them. I mean, if they say it's in the wrong, okay, Sister Karen, Dr. Karen, you could play in any key, but if you put something in the key of E, which is 5 sharps, the average church person ain't gonna play it, or the average student ain't gonna play it. So if you could bump it down to E flat, they'll say do it, and you will collaborate. So there is a place for that freshness, and the reason I've been blessed is my stuff is fresh. It ain't the same. It ain't the same soup warmed over. Well, if it is the same soup, I mean, you gotta talk about Jesus. But I put a little spice in it. It's like, yes, all right, good. And sometimes what you have is just what they are looking for. Okay, anyway, enough said about that. Anybody else?
No, that's great, Pastor Ward. So you'll help some of us.
Oh yeah. My thing
And Dr. McPherson.
Oh,
And he'll take us to the altar. We'll be at the altar.
Listen, I'm not all that in a bag of chips, believe me. But I use the Kleenex mentality, even with young preachers. When you pull one Kleenex up, it pulls the next one halfway up. I tell a young preacher, I'll help you all I can. But now if you come in this pulpit with some false doctrine, you know, I'm gonna pull you halfway up and you got to get up the rest. But my thing is, I'm like the Kleenex. I don't want to be the only black anywhere. If I'm the only black one time, but then I don't want to be at this meeting every time I'm the only black guy there. I don't want to be, when you look at the catalog, I'm the only black person that's public. I'm glad I'm public, but you know, that's some folk out there that can got a lot of stuff going on. And if you are black, this is a good time to be black, because there are certain publishers, whether they mean it or not, we don't want to look like we're racist. All right. There are some universities like University of Iowa, they are recruiting black. They've done this for a long time. Maybe you don't want to go to University of Iowa or the University of Idaho, but we don't want to appear racist. So we want you. We give you a full ride and you're a C student, because the A students going to Morehouse and Spelman and Clark and everywhere else. But we give you a full ride because it's going to look like we're racist. So these publishers, and we do good stuff, but I want to publish a Dr. Karen Thomas, because when the catalog comes out, it's this digital catalog. I want her black face up there. Now, whether they mean it or not, it don't matter, because you still get used. And some of them mean it. I'm not saying, I don't want to be negative, but some of them, they do not want to appear racist right now. I'm serious. They do not want to appear, they are looking for black composers. Now, you got to know your stuff now. I mean, you just can't come up there, I'm a banger, and I don't know Middle C from whatever, but you know, that they want somebody that can hold their own. But they are looking for black publishers now. They are really now. I guess we can finish playing
Okay.
Joseph Gathering Straw. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what was next. All right, she can play it. What was next? Yeah.
Okay, Mika.
And there was a time when they had all this on the news about black men robbery and deadbeat dads. I said, let the man do something. All right. So let him fix the manger and gather some straw and all of that. And they asked me now, what you got? In fact, they're mad with me because I have nothing for Christmas for this year. Anyway, so they were doing it. There was nothing out there really about Joseph. There's the star. There's little town of Bethlehem. There's the wise men, we three kings. Angel we ever heard of? There ain't nothing about Joseph. And I jokingly said, Joseph must be a black guy, because the only time we get news is when we done something we ain't got no business. So I wrote something about Joseph. Anyway, and during the pandemic, it's a cappella. And that was the time to do a cappella, because you want to bring, and it is, I can give the figures, and I give God the glory, my mom and daddy, and Dr. Whalem and Dr. Johnson. But this was Hal Leonard's bestseller for last Christmas season. I can't give you the sales figures. It was their bestseller because it was unique. It was about Joseph gathering straw. You know, how many times can you do, Oh Little Town of Bethlehem, Silent Night, Angel We've Heard on High? And there was nothing about Joseph, and they just ate it up. I mean, it's crazy. So if you will now play a bundle of straw, please. And I'm blessed. I'm really blessed.
Joseph gathered straw. He gathered a big bundle of straw. Joseph gathered straw where the sheep and oxen were fed. There was no room in the inn for Jesus to rest his head. Joseph gathered a bundle of straw and he made a glorious manger bed.
Joseph gathered straw, he gathered a big bundle of straw. Joseph gathered straw, where the sheep and oxen were fed. There was no room in the inn for Jesus to rest his head. Joseph gathered a bundle of straw, and he made a glorious manger bed.
Joseph laid him gently
In the holy manger,
Joseph kneeled beside him,
protecting him from danger.
he was safe and warm, free from Satan's harm, and he slept all through the night until
gathered straw. He gathered a big bundle of straw. Joseph gathered straw where the sheep and oxen were fed. There was no room in the inn for Jesus to rest his head. Joseph gathered a bundle of straw and he made a glorious manger bed.
As he slept, the angels
Sang to tell the story
as he slept, the shepherd
and to see the glory.
and a shining star led kings from afar. Yet he slept all through the night until the morning light. The light.
Joseph gathered straw. He gathered a big bundle of straw. Joseph gathered straw where the sheep and oxen were fed. There was no room in the inn for Jesus to rest his head. Joseph gathered a bundle of straw and he made a glorious manger bed. Joseph made a glorious, glorious, glorious manger bed. A manger bed.
And that's about Joseph. Let's move real quick. Let's go with preacher or no preacher. I'm looking at the time, and this was for a preacher's ordination. And I used some words out of the Black culture where they would say, "Work your calling." If you singing good, baby, work your calling. That means do what God called you to do. And then the old preacher would say, "I'm gonna preach until God tell me don't preach no more." So this was a preacher's ordination I wrote it for. So if you can play that real quick. So I'm using Black expressions in our Black community. It's for preacher's ordination.
Preach on, oh preacher, you gotta work your calling. Preach on, oh preacher, you gotta work your calling. Preach on, oh preacher, you gotta work your calling. Preach on till God says, servant well done.
right. This is it. Some of them we have published. Sometimes people ask me, where have you been? I've just been pastoring the church. And there was a lot of times people didn't like my music. They wanted the latest song on the radio, and my song wasn't the latest song on the radio. So you get in where you fit in. And Harold Leonard and Lorenz wanted, as you notice on Preacher on No Preacher, that was done by Lorenz. Their type is a little smaller than Harold Leonard, but it was good. I'm out of here. You can call me, text me, whatever. If you want scores of this stuff, this is free stuff. Even the one we didn't do, King Jesus Alive, I got bunches of scores. So it's 11:57. So I'm gonna say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I have been
Questions?
blessed with good mamas and daddy, good mama and daddy, and good teachers like Dr. Joyce Johnson. And if her worst student can do this, think what her best students did. I'm out.
Okay, Pastor Wu, will you now entertain questions and comments?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. The floor is open for questions and comments.
I just want to say, every time I engage you, I am so encouraged. I was one of those brothers who felt like I was the odd man out. And of course, I'm from Atmore, so Abbeville, and my roommate at Alabama State was from Abbeville. So thank you so much. I think one of the most beautiful lessons that we've learned out of this as well is that if we put in the work and just trust God, I'm a man of deep faith. And I realized that when I was trying to put all of the pieces together, I didn't have a publisher. I didn't have anybody that would embrace me. And I did exactly what you have encouraged us to do today. I had been trying to get music to Disney for 10, 15 years. And it was because somebody else had gotten in trouble and they were pretending to be able to get some of the work done and they couldn't do it. And I wasn't even the next man. I was like the 8th or 9th man in line, but somebody says, oh, I know somebody that can do it. And I just thank you for your example of perseverance and wisdom. And I'm 63 now, so I am in that place where I am always asking God to put me in a place where when I say a word to our young people, and especially those who are pursuing composition, either as a songwriter or extended works, I'm trying to be in that place where what I say to them will encourage them, but will also keep them in a place where they're mindful of the fact that God is never off schedule. He's always on time. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, thank you for the good words. Amen. Thank you.
Are there others with questions or comments?
Yes. Pastor, I want to thank you so much for your presentation. I have 2 questions. At my church, well, let me start with, the first one is, like when people come into Christ and they ask you, which Bible should I be reading, which translation? And the thing is, you mentioned a couple of times software. If a person wanted to learn how to do composition using software, which software would you suggest?
Oh, the industry standard is Finale. Now, there are some better and easier, but if you send it to a publisher, learn Finale, and there are all kinds of schools for that and seminars, and even they got groups that you can ask questions. I'm part of one. I have people that do what they call engraving, because it's not engraving now, but in old days they would engrave it. So I can handwrite something and send it to somebody and say, engrave that for me, and they'll do it for me. But if you learn Finale, it's just like having a computer. There's some stuff out there better than Windows, but who can work on it? So if you want to do it, get the industry standard, get Finale with your laptop and go with that. One of the things now, I give God the glory. I give God glory. I know some people now that I can send them a handwritten thing and I can get it engraved and all that. But if you are new to it, it's just like a job interview. If you go dressed up with a tie, they're gonna look at you differently. So they're going to say, if you're really serious about it, you need to know Finale. That's just the industry standard. And that way, this person is serious. They took the time to learn it. You can buy the software, load it down, and there are always upgrades on Finale. But I would say just go with Finale. There's some other stuff out there that's easier, but they're going to really see you as serious if you send them a Finale file and you can transfer that to PDF and all of that. But if I were, and I stumble on this with God's help, were I not where I am now, I would have to really learn Finale. And it's a little intense because it's not like a word processor. You got to put Finale, you got to put fermatas and crescendos and sharps and key changes. So it's kind of involved now. But if this is your trade, if this is what you want to do, I would tell anybody to learn that, and you can go anywhere with that. And even if you're going to do it at your church, it just looks nicer if you got it all professional. They'll probably want to sing it better because you all handwritten, that kind of thing. Now, there are some engravers out there that you can give them $100, $50, whatever, and they will engrave it for you. But you really got to make sure. But now the handwritten copy kind of got to be what you want it to be. It can't be, well, I think that's going to be a B flat 7 chord. No. You got to put everything there. Your penmanship has to be there. So again, learn Finale. If you're really serious about it, learn Finale, get you a good computer, learn it, and you are at 85% now where you need to be. Yes.
I'd like to make a comment on that, if I may.
Yeah. Yes.
I've been using Finale since around 2001, and when I first got it, I was told it's like the hardest program that you want to use. However, I got a book and I would write down certain things that I would learn along the way. And I agree with Reverend James in that it's a valuable tool, and it's certainly worth putting the time into. It takes time, but the product is like it comes from a publisher, and it's someone recommended that I do it, and it's faster. It's faster than doing it by hand. So I agree with that.
I use Finale, but I think one of the things that I have done periodically is favor Sibelius because of what I have to do. But I require my students to get the principles of Finale down. And at that point, you can adapt to other platforms. And I thought that Reverend Boyd was picking on me for a minute because here I go with something right now. So,
let me say this from the people that use both. They say Sibelius is better, but Finale is the standard. If you go back when they had VCRs, they had two different ones.
oh yeah,
The one that was, I forget what they are now, VCR and what the one that didn't make it in the marketplace was actually better. But it goes to marketing and everything else. A lot of time, the best product, not the one that's out there, is bad, but the best product, it doesn't sell. They didn't do the marketing right or whatever. But they said Sibelius, I know some people use both, and they would tell you quickly that Sibelius is a tad better to do certain things, but Finale is the standard. So just, there's probably a computer. There's some phones probably better than Android and iPhone, but it ain't the standard. So, so they say when you're starting out, go with the standard, and you can't go wrong. But I know I can name some people that said Sibelius is just better. But for a person starting out, just go with Finale. And I go with handwritten and give it to somebody, and they do it because I got to preach on Sunday.
Well, Pastor Ward, Dr. McPherson, I use Sibelius.
yes.
I was going to get Finale. I don't know what happened and how I got into Sibelius, but that's what I use, Sibelius.
But they say, who is they? They say that Sibelius just didn't market. They spent all their money in development.
Yeah.
And Finale, both are good. It's like a Honda, Toyota, both of them good. But they said that, and you can see even in history where the best product didn't make it because they spent all their time in research and development and making it right. And these folk got it pretty good, and they spent the rest of it in marketing. I mean, look at all these insurance companies that advertise on TV, and there's probably some other insurance companies a lot better, but they spend all their money on marketing. So that's what the people say. But again, go with the standard, and that way you got more people that can help you with the standard, you know.
Mhm.
Well, I'll just put mine in PDF copy so everybody can read it. So
Yeah.
that'll solve that.
Well, the-
Yeah.
Pastor Ward, I have a question. Who are the performers on most of the songs that you played today?
Okay. They have studio singers, studio musicians, and they come down and they can sight read perfectly. They have been trained. That's what they do. Studio singers, studio musicians. Now, when they do the music, Hal Leonard flies these folk in, the best 3 cello players, the best French horn people, and they just fly in and they do everything they need to do for Disney movies and everything for 3 or 4 days. Now, what blew my mind, these are professionals. And I forgot what the going rate is now. It's several $100s an hour. But they walk in with a piece of music. They look at the dynamics, the crescendos, everything, and they go over it one time. The second time, they are recording.
Yes.
And it just blows my mind how they just do it. So those are pros. Now, the publishers pay these folk, and this is why when you self-publish, you got to do all this stuff. If you want to do it. And some people self-publish and don't even have a demo. If you can read music, you can take my score and read it. But these are just pros. They are studio musicians, studio singers. That's how they make their living. They just go here, they go there, they go to Nashville and do that. And it's amazing. They can sound like anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a country western song, they sound like a hillbilly. And then if it's a gospel song, they get their vibrato. I mean, I'm serious. And then if it's a classical song, if it's an English song, they do the head tones. You know how they do the head tones. And that's what they do all the time. They just knock it out. And then they go, and Joseph Martin did this. He said, he's mostly into church stuff. And he said, they knocked out a bunch of his songs and then he left and went to lunch. And he came back and told those studio singers, I really appreciate what y'all did with my music. And they were saying, now what song was that? They had forgotten what song it was. And he said, this is why he loves church folk, that maybe Aunt Bertha don't know what a perfect viol is and don't know what diphthongs are and all that, and don't know what a voice and all that. But she said, well, when Aunt Bertha sing it, she mean it. These folk are getting paid and they good. They like, now what song was that you said we did that we like? Because they had done like 15 other songs already and they have a schedule, like we're gonna do this. And he said, that made me think that you want a perfect demo so people hear it. But then sometimes demos are so good until, say if you got a fully orchestrated piece of music, and then when you break it down to just a piano at a church, you're like, man, it sounds so empty now. So sometimes that demo, or else they can get intimidated, like we can't sing like that. So sometimes, but he was saying that made him appreciate church folk that may not have the formal training, but now there's a level you shouldn't fall below. I don't care what it is, certain things you ought to not do. But he was saying he appreciate church folk now who really love the Lord and just probably shouldn't even be in the choir in the first place, but their heart is perfect. And he said, so that let him know that all they're doing is getting paid, you know. So, but those are professional singers. Now, if you got a young person that can really do music, they can have a lucrative, just going that you got to be known. I'm going to Nashville to do this here. I'm going to Hollywood to do this. I'm going to Disney to do this. So they just read it like we're reading a newspaper. It just blows my mind. And those instrumentalists, let me see, what's the next piece of music? Oh yeah, do. And they just go on with their violin or their trumpet. If it's a trumpet part, a viola part, they just, it blows your mind how they do it.
Yeah, I'm the union guy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I'm usually responsible for hiring a lot of those same people. In Atlanta, while we don't share necessarily a musicians union, we have a set number of individuals who are on-call studio musicians.
Okay.
And whenever I have to do some of my Disney demos before I send them down there,
Yeah.
I will get a bunch of the folk from the area.
Okay, good.
And thank you, Dr.
And
Miller.
I just wanted to say to thank Reverend Ward for the presentation. It really does help me kind of take out of this corner space where I've been and expand my music. And Dr. Thomas was very patient with me in terms of I had to hand write out everything because I couldn't find anybody, to do it. So yes, finale. I will definitely be learning that. And also your point in terms of collaboration, because some pieces I've started and I can't quite figure out where to go with them. And so I really need to consider that. So thank you for lifting that
Thank
up
you.
too as a means of getting going forward. I love all the music. In particular, I remember the fugue
Okay.
because I was so disciplined around the Bach at the time. And I love the praise songs, I'm calling them,
Right.
the church. Yeah, it was all good. So thank you again.
Well, thank you. Now, I love Baroque. Bach had them guys. I mean, to write a fugue, and some of them guys wrote double fugues and all that. I mean, you got to know your stuff and then make it sound good too, and even to play it. Because I took organ from Dr. Whalum, but I mean, you got two manuals and the pedal. It's like you got to split your brain up into 3 different places, and it's easy to play just like a block hymn with just chords, but you got all the voices going on. It takes a lot. I did good, but it was a hard aid, and put it that way. I struggle with organ, and because I can't even turn one on now. But anyway, but so but to do those fusion things, to write it and to actually perform it, it is something else. It is something else. Yes.
Not in 3 pieces, Pastor Ward, because you got the stops on the side.
Oh yeah.
You got the 2 or 3 manuals, and then you got your feet. So you are like an octopus trying.
Oh yeah. What you say?
Yes,
Listen,
you are. As an
can we just play a plain hymn with 4-part harmony or what? And then you got to do the registrations. This is good for this hymn, and this is good for that hymn. Okay, yeah, sure, yeah.
So we
Give
do-
me a piano. It ain't got but one sound. What?
That's it. That's as far as I'm gonna go. I
That's
took 1
right.
year of pipe organ when I was at the University of not Dubuque, Texas Woman's University. And
Okay.
that was enough. I didn't have the patience for that instrument. But anyway, Karen, do you have another agenda item?
Well, Pastor Ward is our main presenter, so he can, finish out as you would like. Or if
Well-
anyone has any other questions or comments, please speak up. And I hope you all will consider attending the rest of our composers forums. Tomorrow will be the main presenter will be Dr. Jacqueline Pickett, very fine double bassist. I mean, really. And she will be focusing on the music of John Elwood Price, who was last at Tuskegee before his death. And then Thursday we'll have Dr. Kay Pace, who was well known in the music industry. And
She
Friday,
taught me at Alabama State.
absolutely. I believe you're one of her students, Dr. McPherson.
Yeah, I took piano from her for a couple of summers, I think. Yeah.
You were Zophany Powell and
Yeah.
her husband.
Yes.
Yeah, great talent out of Alabama State. Yeah, Dr. Pace was definitely there before coming to Morgan, which is where I met her. But yeah, she'll be with us on Thursday, and she'll be with Reverend Dr. Rivers. She'll be with you, I think, for the hymn.
Sings, yes.
Hymn sing. So please tune into that. That's very important. And Friday, I'm inviting everyone back, Dottie, you too, for our Composers Roundtable. So we can try to brainstorm and move these compositions forward into a tangible form. So Dr. McPherson, everybody, Mr. Stubbleville, Pastor Ward, you'll be busy, I guess. Hopefully Beatrice Green, Reverend Clements, and Reverend Rivers, please join us Friday for our Composers Roundtable, for our summary for the entire week for music composition. Thank you so much for spending this time. I appreciate and love and deeply respect each and every one of you. Reverend Rivers.